Ignorance can be incredibly expensive. Hey everyone, just finished doing a whole bunch of tax returns and wanted to talk about a bit of a horror story that came out of one of them. I've talked to this client and he's given me permission to go into some of the details, but not all of them. Just another example of, unfortunately, ignorance can be incredibly expensive. And this is one of my few clients who I do their taxes, but I was not their tax advisor. I don't do that anymore, but he was kind of grandfathered in from when I used to do that. And so he was set up as a sole proprietorship. And he had a pretty good year, made well over $100,000 in his business. Was very proud, had grown it significantly from the previous year, but unfortunately had not ever bothered to set it up as an S corporation. And I haven't run all the numbers on what it would be instead, but very conservatively, he would have saved about $5,000 in self-employment taxes. And realistically, it probably would have been closer to $7, $8, maybe even $9,000 in self-employment taxes as an S corp without being risky at all. But even worse, he is in New Hampshire, and New Hampshire has they have two business taxes. One of them is based on your gross income, and it's like 0.5%. So yeah, it sucks, but it's really not worth doing much to try to avoid a 0.5% tax, right? But the other one is a 7.5% tax, and it taxes some things that the feds don't tax. So you can actually have a higher income in New Hampshire than you have on your federal tax return. So that 7.5% is higher. Now that tax only applies when you're at about $109,000, $110,000 in profits, and that's where not being an S corp really sucked for this guy. Because if he was an S corp, then he would have paid himself a salary, and his business profits probably would have been, 40, 50, maybe $60,000, and he wouldn't have owed this tax at all. But because he did not pay himself a salary, all the money that was earned by this company went to him as business income, as profit, and he broke that $110,000 threshold. And now he owed 7.5% on the whole amount. Because this tax is not, on just what's over 110,000. It's on all your income. You just only owe it if it's a high enough income. So, I'm not going to go into exactly what he made, but obviously just at the $110,000 mark, that's over $8,000 in additional state taxes that he owed. And this was not on his radar last year because he didn't break the threshold last year. He had never broken that threshold before. So this is something, again, very, very conservatively, because he had not done good tax planning, unfortunately, it cost him easily $15,000, maybe closer to $20,000 in state and federal taxes. So not only is he out that money, but he really wasn't ready for it. And so now he's trying to figure out, well, do I pay this and then have very little money in the bank for a rainy day? Or do I, set up a payment plan and now it's costing me even more with interest? So this, again, just, bit of a horror story where, unfortunately, what you don't know when it comes to taxes really can hurt you. So please, if if you're making $20,000 or $30,000, you pretty much don't need to worry about this. But once you're making, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, hiring a CPA, hiring a tax attorney, hiring a tax advisor is almost always going to save you money. And any good CPA or tax advisor will meet with you beforehand and will tell you, hey, I should be able to save you money even after you pay me or not. And if they won't do that, we'll talk to somebody else who will. But every year there's always a couple people who tax returns I do, and just because of something, it's a really bad situation. Sometimes there's not much that can be done to fix it, but sometimes there is. And in this situation, it could have been a whole lot better for this guy. And unfortunately, again, ignorance is very expensive. Talk to you later.